Hey, welcome back everybody. Craig Peterson here on WGAN. Online, of course, craigpeterson.com. I want to finish this up because this whole thing with ransomware and it's on the increase is a very big deal. And it's a big deal not just for businesses, frankly. It's a big deal for all of us. And I mentioned just as we were going out in the last segment that ransomware, it used to be that you could just make sure you had a good backup. And if you got nailed with ransomware, all they would be doing is encrypting all of your files on your computers, spreading, and of course that's a major headache if you have good backups, because at that point you just have to restore all of the backups, and that can take days depending on how things are set up. When we set it up for some of our bigger clients, we set it up with, in some cases, even our equipment on their site so that we can get them back online within hours, if not within minutes, right? Which is what you need. So time was having a backup that was offline and off-site and multi-generational would protect you from having your files encrypted and losing them all. Nowadays, the ransomware has gotten a little bit different. Because what it's doing is, the first thing is it obviously gets installed in your computer, unbeknownst to you, right? You wouldn't install it on purpose. And it spreads between the computers, any files it can see. It then allows a remote operator, someone to get on, or it uses an automated system that looks for files it thinks would be important. So spreadsheets, it searches through your Word docs and other things on your computer. It looks in your cache history on your web browsers in case you're using cloud services. And it tries to find things in there that are going to hurt you the most. And the remote control then allows a remote operator who has now had a look at some of those files to say, hey, I want to dig into this a little bit more. And he'll hop on your computer and look around and say, oh, okay, I want to get this file, upload that file. All of this is happening and you have no idea. Because your firewall is only protecting stuff from coming into your network from the outside. Once it's in, it doesn't do anything about files that are being exfiltrated, about files that are being sent out. Now, we do that for our clients. We watch all of the data going out, anything that shouldn't be going out. If it has private information, social security numbers, if it has customer numbers, if it has bank account numbers, all of those we can recognize, and we stop it immediately. Yeah, obviously a little bit of data can get out, but we stop it right away so that a lot of data isn't going to be exfiltrated. We just had that happen. In fact, just a few weeks ago with one of our clients, they had data being taken out of their computers because someone had been trying to steal it. And many times that's one of your employees, okay? But they then have your data in hand, and the ransom at this point is, hey, we have your data, we have your customer list, we have your intellectual property, we have data that would hurt you if it were released. Pay up, sucker. And if you don't pay up, that data will then be released to the whole wide internet, and that's a very bad thing. At least in my book, I think it's a very bad thing. It gets released to the internet, and what happens at that point? Well, who knows? You're going to lose face as a business. You're probably going to lose customers. You could be fined because some of that data, if it's person identifiable, is going to hurt your wallet because of fines and things that are in place. So that's the difference between older ransomware and current ransomware. So they'll still encrypt all of your data once they're done with it, right? Once they're done poking around and uploading it, so that they'll get you one way or the other. Either they're going to hold a gun to your head, proverbial, and threaten the release of your data, or they're going to have it encrypted and threaten at that point that if you don't pay up, they are going to release that to the whole wide internet. So there you go, some big deals out there. And by the way, misconfigured clouds, cloud storage, misconfigured AWS. It's huge. We've seen so many security breaches because of that over the last years. But I want to point out two more things here before we go for the day. One is all of our businesses today are tech businesses, no matter what. And some businesses have realized that. You look at Barnes & Noble that still has a physical presence, but think of all of the bookstores that have gone out of business over the years. Barnes & Noble came to realize that, in fact, they had to compete in the online world if they were going to survive. Walmart's done the same thing. They've come to realize that if they did not basically go after their own brick and mortar business and really go after the online business, they would be out of business. And they've been doing that right now. And they've become a real threat to Amazon. So like it or not, businesses who are in business in 5 or 10 years from now, who are still in business, are the businesses that realize they are tech businesses. And they are going to be defensive when it comes to cyber criminals, but offensive in the way they pursue technology. So this is going to make or break their business. I had to bring it up. We have a great article online from outlookbusiness.com on my website at craigpeterson.com about this. You have to protect your assets, and your assets have to become more digital than they've ever been before. And I want to go on now to something from Ars Technica. And this is something that I've talked to school districts about before. Because we have had numerous school districts, and in New Hampshire, they're called SAUs. These are kind of super districts that are in technology trouble. I've been a keynote speaker before at some of these events for school districts, and it's been really interesting to me to really get in and help them out, help them examine what it is that they have, how it's, it may be good enough, it might not be good enough. But right now, there are some lawsuits out there, and this is one of the articles I was talking about this week, and we included in our newsletter this week as well, because Google is now facing some lawsuits from state attorneys general. And specifically this week, New Mexico Attorney General, his name is Hector Balderas, has filed a lawsuit alleging that Google has been collecting and using the data of school children in New Mexico in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is called COPPA. That's a federal law. And also New Mexico's Unfair Practices Act. Now, COPPA says that these companies cannot collect the personal data associated with children under the age of 13. This means websites, apps, digital platforms that collect this data from younger users have to have a privacy notice and specifically get the parents' consent to collect the data. You might remember a scramble that occurred some years ago as online websites who had games for kids and things, right? Some of them were just teaching games. Some of them were a little bit more nefarious than that. But these online websites were trying to collect the data of our children, and that was more than a little bit of a problem for them. Well, now, since Google has been in this game and winning in so many areas, they become a target. So you might know I'm a big Apple fan, right? Particularly if you listened to the show a little bit earlier today, because basically Macs, Macintoshes, are immune to the type of malware that Windows computers get almost every day. Well, the same thing is true with iOS, and Apple was trying to get iPads into schools because they are wonderful devices that I use almost every day myself. My team uses them. They are very secure, very easy to use, and kids just know how to use them. But Google introduced a whole family of software that can be used by schools for kids. Just think about the normal Google stuff, right? Where you've got Google Docs, you've got Google Sheets right there. You've got spreadsheets that are easy to use, easy to share. You've got, a document editor, kind of like Microsoft Word, that's easy to use, easy to share. And many schools are just using that basic platform to have assignments go out to the kids, etc. Pile on top of that Google Chrome and Chromebooks, which are very inexpensive, a fraction of the cost of an iPad, even with Apple's educational discounts. And they're getting them in the hands of kids. So in New Mexico and other places, these school districts are using some of these platforms that are explicitly designed for use in elementary and middle schools by school children, and Google is providing the platforms. And then Google is providing the operating system for these Google Chromebooks. Great little devices, by the way. I have nothing against Chromebooks other than the fact that all of your data is going to be collected about you and about your children. And it's going to include sensitive information such as geolocation, the browsing history, the search histories, viewing histories, contact list, saved password, voice recordings, and other behavioral information. All the way. Okay, no matter who you are. And that's what New Mexico is alleging here. Tracking the student data like this without the parental consent is not only illegal, it's dangerous. Now, Google's claiming that New Mexico's claims are factually wrong, adding that it allows schools to control access and requires the schools to seek parental consent. So Google's not seeking it. Google doesn't know if it was actually given. And Google further said, quote, "We do not use personal information from users in primary and secondary schools to target ads. However, they do collect it. And that data could be used later on as that child gets a little bit older." Think about that for a few minutes. Here we are as adults, hopefully making informed decisions about what data we're sharing, but our kids are not. And as they get older, that data that was collected about them before they were of the age of majority, before they were 13 years old, can be used against them. Hey guys, I want you to make sure you get my tutorials, you get all of my newsletters, and keep up to date on all of this stuff. So make sure you subscribe right now. This is the end of today's show. Go to craigpeterson.com/subscribe. Listening to me on WGAN and online, craigpeterson.com/subscribe. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.